Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela. So I decided to go ahead and do a spread. I haven't done a spread in a minute. And I found one that's for Virgo specifically on Pinterest. It's Astrology Inspired Tarot Spread by Emerald Lotus Divination. It's for Virgo. It's 6 cards. And I am using my Lightseers Tarot today and my Oracle of the Radiant Sun, and I decided to pull a card from both decks for every question in those 6 questions. It's been a bang up year. The last month alone has been like, what is happening to my life? So January 3rd, I started appointment after appointment after appointment of doctors. I started having breathing problems really bad in 2020, November 2020. I started having really bad breathing problems. I can go into certain places and can't breathe. I feel like my chest is tightening up really bad. I've done, since January 3rd, test after test after test after test, and no one could find anything. Now we think it's asthma, and I have been using an inhaler prescribed by the doctor, which is working. So apparently I now have asthma. And I have bruises on my arm because I had to go give tests yesterday. Found out both of my carotid arteries are clogged. So it's causing a lot of other things. So now I'm going to have surgery like as soon as possible to have those unclogged, which is scary to me, but the doctor is assuring me it's old hat for them. The problem is I'm 45 and I'm being told things like this don't happen to people my age. His last patient was like 2 weeks ago that had to have this done, and she was 90. And so now we're trying to figure out why suddenly my arteries are clogged in my throat. And he said that couldn't be part of what's going on, but I'm thinking it might be. So it's the genetic lottery. Apparently, I won the genetic lottery. I have every horrible thing both my parents could possibly have. And it could be I was a preemie as a baby as well. I wasn't supposed to survive, and I never had a health issue until recently, the last few years. So maybe that's the trade-off. I got a good life out of not being sick as a child, but now I'm dealing with it as older. Then February, my grandmother passed away. We buried her in March, which was like a week before her birthday. She would have been 96. About 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we had a huge storm and a limb went through my new car. So it's sitting here because apparently due to COVID and all the other things going on, even though COVID's not even a thing here anymore, nobody talks about it or nothing. Nobody gets sick. And if they do, it's like a day. It's vastly different than it was 2 years ago in this area, because people were dying left and right here, and now they're not. They're just, it's another kind of cold for a day or two, and then it's over. But the car, I've literally happened 2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks ago Wednesday. The storm happened, and my car got hit. There's literally a limb sticking out of the front windshield of my car, and it dented the roof. I got an estimate from the insurance, but I have to wait till next Friday. It's the first available appointment from 8 different car lots I called that they can even go in and look at it to estimate how much it's going to cost me, or the insurance. And then they're like a month and a half, maybe 2 months before it's actually fixed. So I'm like 3 months without my car. Thankfully, my husband has a bike. And it's summer. He's driving back and forth to work on his bike, and I'm driving his truck to work. And he can drive the work truck if he needs to, if it starts raining or something. But this year, man, it's been crazy. And I just found out yesterday about the arteries in my neck, in my throat, like in my neck, the carotid arteries, both of them are clogged, and I'm going to need surgery. I actually have an appointment for a colonoscopy and a throat scope because we're still trying to figure out what's going on with the breathing thing, Wednesday, which now they're thinking of canceling because they said it may be too dangerous with the other issue. So I just kind of was at my wit's end yesterday. I'm like, this year is the strength card is the card of the year this year. And I knew going into this year, I was going to need that strength. And it just kind of, at this point in June, I'm just like, it's kind of waning a little bit because I'm just one hit after another, after another, after another. And then I had, a past debt find me after 10 years. And now they're taking almost $300 every paycheck out of my check. $300 I had that was already reserved for other things. And so now I'm having to pinch pennies every week. And it is just like, what, we're only halfway through the year. What's the rest of the year going to bring? But hopefully I get it all sorted out. I am trying to learn to meditate and just let go because it's very hard for a Virgo. So I found this spread and I'm like, I really need to do this spread because I need more answers. So I pulled the cards. I did a quick meditation. I pulled all the cards. And without further babbling ado, let me get a drink here. Let's get into these questions before I lose any more daylight because it's 8:04, 6/18/2022. So, card 1, card that best describes me currently. Card that best describes me currently. Cannot make this up. The strength card. Pillar strength right now. Like, that is hilarious because this is my favorite strength card ever, by the way, in this deck. Because she's got that duality going on, and then there's the lamb in the corner. It's just, I love a depiction of a strength card when shows her as part of the lion. And then we got independence here that goes with that for the oracle card. And I do feel like there is a sense of freedom, I feel, knowing, because I can tell you 3 years ago, I would not have been in this place and where I'm at right now. I'd have been I'm still a nervous wreck, but I would have been pulling my hair out going, why isn't this happening? Why isn't this happening? But since starting my spiritual journey, I'm learning to let things go that I cannot control. And that has been my big thing this year, that I'm like, I know it's going to be a rough year. I know it's going to be a banner year for me because I've got all these doctor's appointments. It started January 3rd. One after another, after another, after another, racking up thousands of dollars in hospital bills, I'm sure. It's just, I knew that was going to happen because I knew one way or another this year I'm going to get to the bottom of why I can't breathe when I walk 10 steps or into a grocery store. But there is some sort of independence that I currently feel in knowing I can't do anything about it. My car, I can't do anything about it. Nobody's taking cars right now because of whatever. They're backed up or whatever's happening. So there is some sort of independence in knowing that strength is there and knowing that I can only control what I can control. So that's quite beautiful. So card 2, how I can improve my ability to go with the flow. This isn't me, I'll tell you what. 9 of Swords. And we got defense. And there has been moments here lately where I've been on this defensive side, this defensive mode, because I'm like trying to get all the ducks in a row and everything lined up, and it makes you irritable. It makes you defensive. It makes you how can I improve my ability to go with the flow? Realize that this nightmare is eventually you're going to wake up from the nightmare. But the defense thing is cool because I have been going on kind of a defense mode lately with certain people in my life because of everything that's been going on. But the 9 of Swords also carries this, there's hope because you will eventually wake up. This nightmare will at some point be over. So I find that quite interesting as well. And I like that there's this one white, almost like a spirit bird, with that one ray of hope. I love that. Card 3, why I should begin to ask others for help. Another big one for me. I don't ask for help ever. And then I get mad when people don't help me and I'm like, did you ask? No. I assume people see me struggling because I'm the type of person, if I, like, for example, at work, if I'm not doing anything and I see someone else struggling, I'm going to jump in and help them. I'm not going to say, hey, do you need help? Because I can see that they need help. Other people are not like that. And I've had to reconcile that. And it's made me a much happier person at work, just because I'm like, they don't think like you do. Understand that. And that's a lot of people's problem, is they don't understand why somebody else doesn't think exactly how they do. And if we all just recognize that not everybody thinks the same way, everybody has their own thoughts and opinions and way of doing things, we would all get along. So card 3 is why I should begin to ask others for help. And I got the 2 of Swords and Fortune. And I think the 2 of Swords is quite apt for this, because I'm always so indecisive on asking for help. I'm like, should I? It's always a thing with me. And then the Fortune part is like knowing once you've made that decision, you have this sense of, again, this kind of sense of freedom, independence here, which is good fortune for you, because then you're not stressing out and going crazy. So I think that's interesting. Card 4, why I sometimes feel misunderstood. Let me go back to that. Why I should begin to ask others for help. Because you're in this mode if you don't. You're in this indecisive in-between, which is not good for you. Not good for my health right now. Number 4, why I sometimes feel misunderstood by others. And I actually dropped 2 oracle cards with this. I got the Emperor. And domination and negotiation came out with that. So the question is, why I sometimes feel misunderstood by others. I can give you a list, but exactly what I was just touching on. See, the Emperor is somebody who's got their wits about them. They think a certain way, and as a Virgo, I think a certain way. As a creative person, I think a certain way. I think just like the example I just gave you, where if I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything, but they're over there sweating bullets because they're trying to get this work done, maybe I should go help them. It's almost inconceivable to me sometimes that other people don't see that and be like, oh, let me go help, instead of lingering in the corner pretending there's nothing to do. It just boggles my mind. And so I kind of feel that with that card as well. Why I sometimes feel is that card 4? Yeah. Why I sometimes feel misunderstood by others, because they don't think the same way I do all the time. And I'm not saying that to brag or say my thinking is better or anything like that. It's just their thought process is different than mine. Where mine seems to be more direct at times, others may go here and here and here before they get to the answer. Maybe they're just not as swift on the uptake. I don't know. But just recognizing that other people, if they understood that about me, maybe they I would not be as misunderstood at times. Because I'm a very analytical thinking at a lot of things. And a lot of people put their emotions into things, and I don't. That has a lot to do with my upbringing, I think. Just because I was raised in an abusive home, I have this stigma around me, this wall sometimes. And I think that's why people are misunderstood by me, because I'm very analytical. And I think the Emperor in of itself is more the analytical teacher type, and that's more the way I am. And so people kind of maybe find that harsh at times. And then with the negotiation and domination, I think that goes hand in hand with what I was just saying. The domination is more of the Emperor, like I'm over you, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you. But there's a negotiation that needs to be had, that you need to recognize that not everybody is going to think the same process as you. So I found that quite interesting. That seems to be the main theme in this whole spread. So number 5, how I can start to see the perfection, how I can start to see the perfect in my imperfect self. And I got the Hanged Man, And the affair. Of course, I'm going to draw the Hangman because it's going in, seeing a different perspective. And I just was explaining that with this card. And with this card, it's seeing their point of view, seeing their way of thinking, and changing my perspective, seeing myself from a different perspective may start to show me that there is perfection in my imperfectness, and I love that. And then affair, maybe it's telling me to have an affair with myself, like take myself out to dinner, just me and me. Have some alone time, have some me time. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So for card 6, a new healthy habit I should explore. And I got the Fool and Quarrel. This Fool I've always loved. It's my favorite Fool. Because it's not a kid or a young boy going off a cliff blindly with a dog trying to pull him back because there's danger ahead. It's literally a girl going off a cliff with a trust fall and a crystal in her hand. She's literally trusting in the universe. And I always need to hear that because I'm not one that's very trusting and not one that's very, let's just see how it goes. No, I need a plan. I need to know how an outcome is going to be before I traverse it. And that's very dangerous because then you may never traverse it because if you have any inkling that it's going to go badly for you, I'm not going to try. And that's where I think the quarrel comes in. Again, with the Two of Swords, is this quarrel with myself. This argument with me and my higher self is like, you need to at least take the action, do the trust fall. Do something. And so the new healthy habit I should explore would be trusting in the universe, because then there's that inner conflict with myself that is, again, not healthy for me. So trusting in the universe, trusting more in my gut, learning to accept the things that I cannot change, and learning to let go of things, and learning to trust that things will work out. And it's funny because I'm always always been what my mom would call a nervous Nelly. Always been like, if something happens, I'm just like, oh my God, this is going to be a horrible nightmare. This is a horrible nightmare, da da da. But for some reason, everything always seems to work out. I don't ever see that part of it though. I always see the crap leading up to, oh, it worked out. And I'm never appreciative of, oh, it worked out. I just remember the crap before it that I had to go through to get to the, oh, it worked out. So maybe that is the full lesson in this spread, is taking the time to appreciate, even though I had to go through hell to get where I'm at, you appreciate that you're still here for it. Appreciate the fact that, and I thought that yesterday, and I'm like, I would have never thought this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Would have never had this thought cross my mind. But I was sitting there and I almost cried when I found out from the doctor. I was at work that, yes, I had 2 clogged arteries, and it was at this point dangerous. He said, I'm basically a walking stroke at this point, and I have to have the surgery like as soon as possible. And I almost started bawling because I'm like, again, my old way of thinking was like, what else can happen to me? Every time I turn around, crap is happening to me. Every time I feel like I'm taking 1 step forward or 2 steps forward, I take 5 back. And I've always had that mentality my whole life. Is every time I get a little bit ahead, the universe is like, no, not you, take 5 steps back. But yesterday, for the first time really ever, I first hearing this news initially was like, oh my God, this is horrible, blah, 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 blah. And then there was this moment of, after I almost cried, like maybe 20 minutes later, it's like, well, if I had not have had this chest breathing issue and I had not pushed my doctor to find out what was wrong with me and pushed and pushed and pushed, he would have never found this, because I've done 6 months worth of tests, and it took him 2 tests to go 3 weeks ago to find this. 2 weeks ago to find this. So if I had not kept pushing and been going through the hell I've been through in the last 6 months, I probably would have had a stroke at some point, and no one would have ever known that I had 2 clogged arteries in my neck. And so it was like, and it was almost like this voice was telling me, no, stop thinking the negative, think of it this way. And once I looked at it that way, I was like, okay, so there was a plan after all. I had to go through all the crap I've been through the last 6 months. The needles, the poking, the prodding, the test after test after test after test, which we still haven't quite figured out what the chest stuff is and the breathing stuff is, but because of the puffer he put me on, and a couple other things that I found out, I'm pretty sure it's asthma. Me and the doctor are pretty sure it's asthma. And I did not know you could get asthma as an adult, but you can. And I was a smoker for many years. I did quit a while ago, but at that point I guess it was too late. So it's just little things that I'm just like, I would have never had this perspective 2 years ago. I would have still been down in the dumps about it. And I actually, once I had that change of thought process of, well, if I hadn't been through all this crap, I would not have found this out in time before I actually had a stroke. And I'm too young to have a stroke. So hopefully we get this clogs done before the unclogging of my arteries done before something bad happens. But I would have never had that thought process. I've always been just like, not again, this is crap. And I did start to think that, but something shifted. And I'm like, obviously, the spiritual journey I've been on it's working. It's slowly, because I'm hard-headed. If I were paying more attention and listening to the universe more and doing that trust fall more often, I probably would be much further along. But that's just my hard-headedness, because I am a Virgo. But yeah, that is my tarot spread I did for today. I came across it yesterday. I'm like, I need to do this spread. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And y'all have a good night. Bye.